Okay, so I want to take you guys through some of the parts that you'll need to buy to complete the kit that aren't available on Shapeways. Um, I know that Justin from SaberBay is working on putting a kit together so that it's not quite as tedious. It'll be kind of a one-stop shop so that you can go directly to SaberBay and get everything you need. Um, but in the meantime, I've also got a list of the parts that I used that you can look at as well. So the first thing is in building the modular chassis unit, you're going to need battery contacts, and the battery contacts that I have all of these links are going to be in the description in the video, so you can click on those. The battery contacts that I used were the leaf spring battery contacts on both sides, and that's really important. The battery is going to fit right if you use these two leaf springs on both sides. You could use a different option if you want. You can use the silver or the gold. It isn't going to make a large difference, so there's some flexibility there, but the shape is very important. So the main connector between the Hilt top and the modular chassis unit is the GX16 connector, and they're a little bit hard to find, but it's best to find a 15 amp rated connector, but you know your project best, so just make sure that you're getting a connector with the amperage that you're going to need. You can pick probably the ones that I've got linked here. I used an 8-pin connector. There is also a 10-pin connector and a 7-pin connector. So you can pick between those two. If you want to do exactly what I demoed in the video, you're going to need an 8-pin connector. If you don't feel like you're going to be using the blade ID, or if you feel like you're not going to be using like a secondary Neopixel subblade or Neopixel accents or something like that, then you could go down to the 7-pin if you wanted. The speaker PCB and the spring-loaded pens you're going to be able to find on the SaberBay, and the PCB is going to go in the speaker pod, and the spring-loaded pens are going to go on the modular chassis unit. You can also get 2 additional sets of PCBs and spring-loaded pens from SaberBay, and what that would allow you to do is have 2 additional PCBs for having multiple speaker pods, so that you could change your speaker based on the length that you need to accommodate for a specific hilt. Like if you have a hilt that has a tight space, you could get a smaller speaker pod, or if you've got a sound font that sounds better on a bass speaker or a premium speaker, you can swap those out. And then the other advantage of that would be if you wanted to use the optional spring-loaded pen contacts on the Hilt connector for the 2 low current signals, like say 2 accent LEDs or something like that, then you would be able to use those spring-loaded pins that would be left over. The metal rod that I showed in the video is the K&S precision rod. It's 0.18 millimeter, and there's a link here to that. The OLED that's going to fit the chassis is available on the custom Saber shop. And you have a choice in connector. For the Hilltop connectors, you can use the custom Saber shop's Neopixel connector, the 7-pin variant. And if you're going to do that, then you need to make sure that you print from Shapeways the pen cap cover to lock it in place. Or you could go to SaberBay and get Dimitri's Neopixel long pen connector and the lens cover, and it's a really neat solution that allows you to have the Neopixels on the PCB light up a blade plug so that you don't have to have Neopixel converted blade plugs for every single one of your blade plugs. So it's a pretty neat solution. Batteries, I linked 2 batteries that I've tested with my modular chassis unit that I know fit well and have the required 15 amp drain. So you have an option between the custom Sabre shop or again the Sabre Bay. When you're buying the Hilt connector, you want to make sure that you've got again you're gonna need the other half of that GX16 connector that we mentioned above. You're going to need the 440 threaded rod, which you can find on the custom Sabre shop. That's going to link the top and the bottom pieces of the Hilt connector together. And you'll need 440 nuts for that. If you're using the top and bottom Hilt connectors, you're going to need 9 of those 440 nuts. If you're using the Graflex connector, you'll just need 3. I talked a little bit about E6000 glue. You can get that basically anywhere, but I gave a link to Amazon in case you prefer shopping on Amazon like I do. I also use sometimes Gorilla Super Glue because it has a shorter curing time. The E6000 I found can take up to 3 days to really set before you can handle it. But this is really the best option if you've got the time and the patience. For the speaker pod, you're going to need, again, that PCB that I mentioned above, and you're going to need the foam tape. And again, I talk about that a little bit in the video, but a small amount of foam tape is going to help that speaker sit in place, and it's also going to help reduce the amount of vibrational noise affecting your motion sensors on your soundboard. But as always, if you have any questions or you can't find one of the parts that I've listed here, just send me an email or a message on Facebook and I'll help you out.